Welcome to The Word. And I'm Scott Rubin, the host. And, I am so glad I believe in God. Because it would really suck right now to believe like in idols, statues. Seem to be coming down these days faster than a Fuddruckers with salmonella outbreak. I shoot this show in my hometown of Buffalo, and they just removed a Christopher Columbus statue from my park down the street. It's really disturbing. My dog has no idea where to pee anymore. In the Bible, we don't really build statues. We're not big on idols. We don't have a giant Moses carved out of Jerusalem stone. We don't even know where he's buried, Moses. And yet, humans so desire to believe in something really big that they can be made in concrete, and then ultimately miniaturized and sold in a Dollar Tree. Statues, idols, they come and they go, and, but God, you can't tear down God because God's statue is the sun, it's the stars, it's the air we breathe. Well, actually, we're doing a pretty good job tearing that down. You know what I mean. It's all the flowers and all the trees, and we're tearing those down too. All right, but God is omnipresent. You can't tear him. He's everywhere. He's even in us. And we kill each other. So maybe you can tear down God like a little bit, but you're not going to get very far. It's a big universe. So have your fun, tear down the Kit Carson obelisk and the Jefferson Davis Memorial Boulder, and be grateful that God Almighty is not cast in iron or chiseled into the Rockies, but is iron and the Rockies. And that's why we're here. We're still talking about him all these thousands of years. So let's meet our talkers. He's been on the front lines, and now he headlines. Welcome, former Marine Corps veteran and one of the great new faces of stand-up comedy working today, Brian Simpson. Hey, Brian. All right.
Well,
how you doing?
I'm great, man. How about yourself?
Well, I'm okay. I'm okay. What's harder, the first time you went on stage or the first time you showed up in a possible battlefield? What is a harder thing?
On stage.
Wow. I thought you might say that. He might be the Bagel King of LA, but don't let that fool you. He's so much more than bagels. He's lox. He's cream cheese. He's pastrami. Welcome, Evan J. Fox.
Thanks.
So how many trucks do you got? How many bagel trucks do you have?
I just got our 5th truck, actually. Crazy.
Wow.
A lot of bagels in LA, yeah.
That is a lot of bagels. That is
a lot of bagels.
How old does the bagel go? How long have we been eating bagels?
I mean, it comes from really like Polish descent. So it's like we brought that to New York. The Jews, all of the sort of Ellis Island, immigrants. That was like the food that they brought to New York.
Well, thank God they did.
Yeah, thank God.
She's been to the mountaintop and to the deepest valleys, and now she's back on the mountaintop. And she's only here so she won't fall off. Welcome, the actress of the upcoming HBO Max series Minx, my sidekick, free spirit, Jackie Vene. Hello, Jackie.
Hola. How are you?
You tell me. You're the one who's working like crazy.
Not actually working that hard. Just did pretty much nothing today.
Oh, well, then you're all ready for this show. Because
I went to the
next
farmer's
up,
market. It was great.
The farmer's market. You had to mention it. You went to the farmer's market. Well, that's perfect, Jackie. He's a parent, a podcaster, and a comedian. Let's hope he gets the order right and doesn't start changing diapers during Leviticus. Welcome, my co-host, stand-up sensation, Mr. Sandy Danto.
I don't worship idols, but my daughter definitely does. I have to constantly buy her dolls so she'll listen to me.
You know, you wonder, like, if Orthodox Jews, like, are they allowed to have dolls in the house? Are those considered idols, or just fake babies?
If you know anything about a toddler, dolls and action figures are definitely idols.
All right.
And
well,
bagels
you
are
stand
idols to
corrected.
me. So
Yeah, well, bagels is idol worship. 5 trucks.
I really
All
want
right.
a bagel.
I know. This is the worst part about being all in different places. We can't eat the bagels. But he's got a truck. All right, here we go. So we're in the Cain and Abel story. Cain and Abel are the children of Adam and Eve, humanity's first kids. One day, Cain gives God a gift, and his younger brother, Abel, well, he follows up by gifting God a better one, which God seems to like a little more. Apparently, Cain gets jealous and slays his brother. God curses Cain for the murder, making him struggle to till the land and become a wanderer and exiled in the land. And now the Cain and Abel saga continues. Verse 13, Genesis. And Cain said to the Lord, "Is my iniquity too great to bear? Behold, you have driven me today off the face of the earth, and I shall be hidden from before you, and I will be a wanderer and an exile in the land, and it will be that whoever finds me will kill me." You know, the last show we talked about being a wanderer, but here we have a much chilling revelation of what that punishment might be like. And not just for Cain, but perhaps for all of us. Cain and Abel seemingly have a talking relationship with God, or at this point in the story, let's just say Cain does. You know, I mean, Abel's been written out, maybe he had a bigger offer in another dimension, and he just couldn't resist. Well, who knows? Whatever, God speaks to Cain in a similar way that he speaks to Adam and Eve. They openly converse, they talk. There is no faith in whether God exists for Cain. God is ever present in his life. Definitely not hidden. And now, after murdering his brother, Cain is sent to the land of wanderers, where he's sure that he will die a certain death. But worse, God is now hidden from him. Wow. Cain is the first human being to be ghosted. And it's by God. Now, is Cain's sentence our sentence? Is not God hidden seemingly on the other side of the shower curtain? The veil. And I'm not talking one of the clear ones, you know. I'm heavily frosted with the giant paisleys on it. And yes, some showers come on the lower third. We now must work to find God, to see him, to know him. We pray, we meditate, we contemplate, embrace certain rituals and God-based faiths. And if not, are we just wanderers on this earth, desperately looking for anything to make us feel connected and safe? We'll binge watch anything, quite honestly, to feel like we're not wandering. We feel lost and afraid, all of us. Did you ever feel, and I'm talking to you, Brian, you were kind of lost and didn't have that direction and didn't know where that safety and comfort would come from?
Yeah, it's been like that my whole life. I still haven't found it.
Really? What about when
Yeah.
you were a Marine, being connected to the Marines like that? Did that give you some sort of comfort?
Yes and no. I mean, you know what it is I think there were times where I thought I had direction. You know, much like love, right? There were times where I thought I had it, but then as I grew and looked back, I realized that I didn't. You give a child a piece of candy and they would be like, "I love you," you know. But then, you know, you're 18 and you're like, a piece of candy ain't enough.
Do you think the people that have deep faith, though, do they need that piece of candy?
I think they don't, but
Ooh.
like I said, I think the more you go through life, the more you realize that like you were wrong about how you define all those big things before. Maybe everybody needs to do mushrooms and read the Torah. I don't know.
Oh, a combo. A combo. You do the drugs and believe in God. That's
Exactly.
well, now
You do the drugs and find God.
Evan, how about a perfect bagel? Can God be found in a bagel?
It could definitely get you in that zone, in that presence, for sure. But you're going to come back down. If you rely on bagels alone, you will come back down again, just like everything else.
Jackie, you got any thoughts on this? Do you find God to be hidden from you?
Now I know that I can find God in a bagel, and I'm just going to use that.
Why isn't God like making it more evident that he exists? Why isn't there just a giant floating God? You know, I mean,
Well,
why does this
what if-
have to be so difficult?
Well, what if he created these pieces of himself that didn't know that they were God, and just for the point for them to find God within themselves? And that's why we're wanderers in the first place. If God created us, how could he not have created something godlike?
Well, let's hope he did. Like Sandy Danto, you know, Sandy, you got a piece of God in you. You know, why do you think? Is there any way to pierce the veil of God hiding from us?
I think the purpose of God being hidden is to separate the wanderers from the people who are in God's DMs. You know, like ask Jackie. They're like, how many guys that you've never met are in your DMs because they just believe? Am I wrong? Am I wrong about that? Don't you have guys that just like constantly hit you up and you don't answer them, but they still try? Am I wrong here?
Oh no,
No,
should
you're
I
right.
unsend that DM?
Most
It's not
from
about
the Middle East.
mostly from the Middle East.
Well,
God is
that's,
everywhere.
Thematically.
I think God may have
Oh, God.
created other universes, and we're not his favorite universe anymore. You know?
Well, really? Well, let's. I'm going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to continue with the saga of Cain and his punishment. Welcome back. Welcome back to. We're talking about Cain and Abel here. You know, more about Cain. Abel's he's been removed. So let me just remind you: the last verse was, "Behold, you've driven me today off the face of the earth, and I shall be hidden from before you, and I will be a wanderer and an exile in the land, and it will be that whoever finds me will kill me." Okay, and now we're going to go to the verse that we're going to talk about. And the Lord, this is 15, Genesis, right? Chapter 4. And the Lord said to him, "Therefore, whoever kills Cain, vengeance will be wrought upon him sevenfold." And the Lord placed a mark on Cain, that no one who find him slay him. So I guess God doesn't want Cain to be killed, but live in a world hidden from him. So God has marked him for his protection. Like Cain, then perhaps we are marked in some way for our protection as well. Arguably, a large swath of us are wanderers, and yet most of us are still here. I mean, here we are. We're alive. We're still here. Hallelujah. So what is this mark that we may have like Cain? You know, many of us have seen the movie Apocalypse Now and remember the Robert Duvall's Lieutenant Colonel Kilgore character confidently conducting a horrific battle on the Vietnam beach, seemingly oblivious, impervious to the bombs and bullets firing at him from every direction, and somehow not getting hit. Well, apparently it's like a real phenomenon that can be seen throughout history. George Washington led his men multiple times into battle, incredibly not being hit by British cannon shot or even Indian snipers, despite being at the front of the battle and the biggest and most valuable target on the battlefield. He was 6'2", 200 pounds, when men were like 5'6", and he was on top of a horse, and he survived 9 diseases, in which 6 were the most deadly of his era. Unfortunately, his teeth didn't survive, but that's a whole other thing. All of us know or relate to this kind of person. So what's going on? Are they marked by God? Evan,
Yeah.
do you think that we're marked in some way? Do you know of a mark? Do you know a mark of a protection? Do you feel that you have a
Yeah,
mark on you?
I think
Yeah, you have 5 bagel trucks, for God's sakes. Something's going right with you.
your question is DNA is that mark, really. We're keeping from the beginning of everything. It's in us. And so that's sort of the protection. It's like that's what's pushing us in my belief.
Ryan.
When you were reading the passage, I'm sorry I interrupted you. I immediately screamed out Thanos, right? Because the same thing happened to Thanos, right? He got in the comic books, not in the movies, but he was Mistress Death, which was he was in love with her. She banned him from the realm of death because she hated his guts, which essentially made him immortal, right? And I'm going somewhere with this. And he still needed to conquer the universe. Like maybe the whole point of the mark is to show you that simply surviving is not enough. We have to have a journey, And so maybe the whole point is that, okay, if you're not worried about survival, then you can focus 100% on just moving forward and discovering things.
Did you encounter in your military service people that seemed like they were impervious to getting hurt? They just kind of walk through as if they have an odd protection?
Yeah, I know a couple guys like that where they just weren't at all concerned with getting hurt. I mean, isn't that every man under the age of 25? We just going through life like
ever. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be.
Wait, by that logic, is stupidity the mark of God that keeps us alive?
But there's a fine line. There's a fine line between stupidity and bravery. And I think that like the young,
whether you live.
They'll dance in stupidity a lot. And then as you get older, the lucky ones will find out how to finesse stupidity into bravery.
Maybe it's pettier than that. Maybe God is like, you're cursed to walk the earth until you find me a better gift than what you gave.
Exactly.
He might still be alive right now, waiting to get a PlayStation 5 and go back to the altar room.
I think that we are God's PlayStation 5.
God's gonna love this. So Sandy, all right. So what has God marked us? What is the equivalent of the rabbit's foot on us that God has put on us to protect us? Is there something that's so like in our face that we don't even see it?
Just go with me, but maybe it's not something that we have on us, but we have something that was taken off of us, our foreskin. It's our covenant with God, and that might be the mark.
In terms of the Jewish tradition, that is a mark. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, that is a mark, baby. That is a mark.
I knew somebody
protect us. I don't know.
I knew somebody that got a circumcision when they were 18. Doesn't that sound crazy?
Anybody else? Anybody else other than a circumcision? Anybody else? For God's sakes, man! Is there any other mark we've got?
I don't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah, maybe it's just the sun. We got sunshine on our face. Hey, when we come back, I'm gonna. We're gonna finish this up, this Cain punishment thing, and let's really finish it up. Like finish it. I don't want to talk about Cain's punishment anymore. And welcome back to the Word. And we've been having a lovely conversation about the punishment of Cain and him going and wandering and meeting a wife. And now we see if anybody actually has some final thought that they left out. Sandy, what did you leave out?
The thought that I left out is Cain was the first ghosted by God, but not the last. But the phrase "ghosted by God" sounds like a pop punk band from the early 2000s or a Kirk Cameron movie you would find at the last remaining Blockbuster.
I think we wrote that at National Lampoon. All right. Hey, Evan, we leave anything out? You got something to say for yourself? I got a deal on the bagels?
Anytime you want, come get a bagel. I would say last remaining thoughts. Don't think so much. Don't overthink it.
All right. There you go. Don't think so much. All right. I'll keep that in mind. Be a much shorter
me feel
show.
Personally attacked.
Ryan, last thoughts.
You know, am I the only one that, because it's been a long time since I read Genesis, but I feel like it is a very vague. We never found out what the gifts were, and we never found out what his wife's name was. Who is she?
Well,
Do
that's
they ever
part of the
say?
veil. No, it's not. It's a challenge. If it was so easy to understand, there would be just no point in it. Okay?
Right. And
so
we
it's a
wouldn't have
mystery. It's an unravel. Yeah, it'd be too easy. And then we would never show. It's because it's mysterious that makes it so interesting. All right. How's that? Sound good? That sound good? All right. Let's put the shower curtain up. And thank you all for coming. Enjoy yourself, read the Bible, and see if you could get into as insane a conversation as this has been. Good luck.